You owe a debt. If you have to, liquidate an asset to pay a debt. Get rid of your debts. Don't owe anybody anything, Romans 13 says, but to love one another. And that's not talking about the fact you shouldn't buy anything on time or borrow money. That is not the issue. There are times and places to do that. It's simply saying, if you owe it, pay it as you owe it. As you contracted to pay your debts, pay your debts. If you have a debt which is overdue or which is due, which you are not paying, then liquidate something and pay that debt, or take your resources and pay that debt off. It's amazing to me how people, for example, will owe a debt somewhere, be obligated to that debt, not paying that debt, and go spend their money on something else. Some luxury, some appliance, some television, some trip, some who knows what, new wardrobe, when they owe a debt. If you owe a debt, pay the debt. That comes right after your subsistence and the care of yourself and your family. After that, you are able to save. That's what you should do with your money. Lay it aside for the future. We've already said that. Lay it aside for the future. You've paid your debts. You've taken care of your home and your family and the things that they need. Save some for the future so that you can be ready in the event that something comes you can't foresee. Then you can use some of your money for the rich things of life to enjoy. And in the enjoying, you can share them with others. You can thank God for them. And then, of course, that brings us to the very point that is really the point of everything, and that is you're now ready to give. You've taken care of your home and your family. You've paid your debts. You've met the needs of your household. You've enjoyed the goodness of God. And now your heart is open and you're ready to give. You're ready to give. That's the position you want to be in. That's where we want to get you. So you're free to give. So when we come along and say there's a need here, there's a need there, you can give. So you start by taking care of your own needs, the needs of your household. You move from there to paying your debts. Whatever you owe, you pay. If you have to, you liquidate what you possess to be able to do that. And then you can enrich your life with the good things that God has blessed you with in this created order, thanking Him for them all the while, praising Him for them, realizing they come from His good hand, and being generous to share everything you have with others. Then you can save as well for the future as a part of that process, and then you're ready to give. You give faithfully, regularly to the life of the church, and we'll see how that works. And then you give occasionally as God brings it across your path, where you find someone who has need. Your giving is a very important part of your life. If you see someone who has need, 1 John 3 says, and you close your compassion to him, the question is, are you really a Christian? How can we say the love of God dwells in you if you don't give to one who is in need? It even goes beyond that. In Acts 2:45, it says the early Christians sold their possessions and their goods and parted them to all men as every man had need. If they had possessions and they saw someone in need, they would sell their possessions. These probably were the first church garage sales. They didn't have garages, but you get the idea. They would literally take their goods and their possessions and sell them so they could take the money and give it to someone in need. Later on in Acts 4:34, it says, neither was there any among them that lacked. Why? For as many as were possessors of lands or houses were selling them and bringing the prices of the things that were sold and laying them at the apostles' feet. They sold in chapter 2 their possessions and goods. In chapter 4, they were into selling their land and their houses. That's how generous they had become. They were liquidating homes, land, possessions, goods, and taking the money, laying it at the apostles' feet so that it could be used to meet needs. Boy, that really is a far cry from the mentality of our society and even the church in our day. When a person had a need in the early church, people were willing to sell their goods, their possessions, their houses, and their land in order that those needs might be met. They were so consumed with the life in the kingdom, life in the church. Well, all of us then who know Jesus Christ have a stewardship of money. We are entrusted with money. It's all His. Every bit of it is His, not just what we give. All of it, 100% is His. He owns it all, and we must use it for His glory. And part of that, of course, is taking care of our needs and our families, making sure that we prepare for the future, enjoying the wonderful created world that He has given to us, and being in a position to give, and to give generously. One little footnote to all of this is in Luke 16:10 and 11, where Jesus says, if you don't know how to handle money, why would God give you the true riches? Remember that? What's He talking about? He's saying, Why would God give you the true riches? What is that? Souls, people. They are the real riches. If you don't know how to handle money, why would God give you people? In other words, I really do believe that the extent of your spiritual influence is controlled by God to some degree on the basis of how you handle money. Obviously, there are people who handle money scandalously and appear to have a great and wide influence. I don't know how this verse fleshes out in every individual life in the sovereign purposes of God. But it seems to me what God is saying is that He is not interested in entrusting living, eternal souls into your spiritual care if you haven't demonstrated the ability to deal with money. Because it is such a barometer on spiritual character. Somebody might say, I don't know why I don't have a ministry for the Lord. I can't understand why I don't see much fruit in my life. Well, if you aren't faithful with money, do you think God's going to use you with souls? Some men are out of the pastorate and out of the ministry altogether. Now, there are many false prophets who prosper but don't genuinely represent the Lord. If you're a true servant of Christ, truly fruitful, God says He wants to save such fruitfulness for those who have demonstrated that they can handle money. Now, 4 things I want you to do to get ready to give. Here are 4 steps. Very important. 1, transfer ownership of your money to God. Transfer ownership of everything to God. Total control is His. That's what you need to do in your own heart. Lord, I give you all of it. All of it. Not some of it, not part of it, not most of it. I give you all of it. And I want it all to be used for your glory. Transfer ownership of your money to God. Secondly, make the goal and purpose of your life to advance the kingdom. Make the goal and purpose of your life to advance the kingdom. I live for that. I live for nothing else. It's all yours, and I want it all to advance your kingdom. Thirdly, live in such a way that you can respond to the Lord's direction. In other words, get out of debt. Don't live to the max of your income. Inventory your expenses in order of importance and eliminate the non-essentials. Sell some large items that may free you from debt. Begin buying on a cash basis only. Consider additional work. Evaluate every expenditure as to how it would relate to the advancement of the kingdom. Give God the opportunity to provide you something as a gift from someone before you buy it. Don't borrow for depreciating items or luxuries. Discern your needs from your wants. Develop contentment. And stay out of stores. And don't read catalogs.